Hey, we are live. Welcome to another live stream, live coaching. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Did you sail this week? Hey, we're back. Did you sail this week? If so, how was it? Moritz has been sailing. Moritz Malk has been sailing and posting in the group. Moritz, sick, grubby off the lip. I've been calling those hangovers. Did you land that one back in the wave? Excuse me. Hey, York, Hans. Nice to see you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dom Dom. How is everyone doing? Did you sail this week? Did I sail this week? I don't even know. I've been so busy. I went surfing. I had a surfing day. Did I have a sailing day? Maybe. Not sure. All right. Hey, John. I'm getting ready to leave. I go back to Europe tomorrow, and then I'll be in Europe for the summer. And hey, the Fed. Going to be joining most of you guys doing some European windsurfing. I'll be based out of Hamburg, but I'm going to do at least one Canaries trip. And then, of course, going up to Denmark and the Baltic Sea. And I'm going to do some coaching as well. I posted that in the group. If you are interested in joining the coaching, looks like I'm going to do 2 weeks in Denmark. Week 2, I believe, is already full. So full booked out. Week 1, there's still some space. There's an application in the group. I'll go over that in a second. And then I'll do another week. I'm not sure where. Canaries or Morocco, probably, or Portugal. We'll see. Ragnar, Matt, Suna, Christoph. Hello, hello, hello. Christoph is working on goose screws. That is a great move to work on once you get to a certain point in your windsurfing. That's awesome. How far are you getting in the goose screws? If you can get some photos or videos, that is a great move to talk about in the coaching. I think the goose screw is a very accessible move level. The goose screw is a very accessible move once you have a certain level in your windsurfing. You really want to sheet out, lean into that circle. Don't sheet in too early. Awesome. I would love to hear how your progress grows on that. Christoph. Hey, Herman. Some flat water, 5-3 sailing. Max. No wind in the UK. Ouch. No wind in Belgium either. Hey, Graham. 4-7 each day in Cape Town. Awesome. I want to go back to Cape Town. I want to go back to Cape Town this fall. We'll see. I've got to make a plan with my wife. It's been a few years since I've been there. Cape Town is an awesome place. Awesome windsurfing. All right. Hey, Jungle Jeff. All right. I'm going to load up the group. Hey, Steen. So it sounds like the wind is not fully present in Europe. Do you have a summertime windsurfing spot? So wherever you are, is it windy in the summer? Some places it's windier in the spring or the fall or the summer or the winter. So I want to hear, let us know in the chat where you are and if it's a good summertime spot. And I'm talking your northern hemisphere summer. So for the next few months, are you coming into the windy season? Let us know. And we're going to start going through the Facebook group. So first off, I'm going to go skip around here. If you are interested in doing coaching with me in Denmark, I am doing a windsurfing masterclass. It's a 1-week course. A lot of you guys have done courses with me in the past, so you know what it's like. Thank you for commenting. You know, some of the people who have been on courses in the past have commented here about their experience. And yeah, I really enjoyed every moment with you guys, and I look forward to doing more of it. So I'm going to do 2 weeks in Denmark. One of the weeks is already booked up. So there is space for the week September 2nd to 7th. That's in Klitmøller. You can apply here in this Google Doc. You just fill out the form. Just click on that, fill out the form, and just some information about you and your sailing. And then you'll hear back from me in the next couple weeks. I'm looking forward to this. All right, let's get into the coaching. All right, so the Fed says in Tarifa, he prefers to be in Pozo, though, for the summer. Steen says that there's not much wind in Netherlands, but he's going to Portugal. Portugal can be good in the summer. I hear Portugal is good right now. Someone was texting me saying you have to come to Portugal. The conditions have been epic. Come as soon as you get back to Europe. Maybe. I don't know if I've got time as soon as I come back, but I love Portugal. It doesn't take much for me to do a trip there. All right, so first up, we've got this post from Moritz. Moritz, are you still in the chat? I want to hear if you made that hangover back in the wave. That's a different post, which we're going to get to in a second. So Moritz is one of my favorite windsurfers to watch in Pozo. He and Philip Koster are my favorite windsurfers to watch there. There's something about the spontaneity and approach to the wave riding. So this is an off the lip. And Moritz, if you're still in the chat, I'd love to hear what you're thinking about, what's going through your head when you're thinking about doing a turn like this, what you're thinking about in terms of timing and placement, body position, heading back out. All right, so let's look at this turn. So this is a great turn. Something that I've noticed in my own windsurfing, which I just want to add, that's so important and not talked about very much, is where you bottom turn. It's so important to bottom turn somewhere that is smooth and not too choppy. Because if you're trying to bottom turn through a bunch of chop, your board bounces, you lose speed, it doesn't work. It's more important than almost anything else. And you can see here, Moritz, if you're in the chat, let us know. But you can see, look at his head. Look at where he's looking. As soon as he starts going to his bottom turn, he's looking for a place to put his board, for a place to bottom turn. He's not looking back at the wave. He's looking somewhere to bottom turn. And I'm guessing he's trying to make sure he's got a smooth patch of water. All right, so now he's found it, sets his rail, and then starts looking at the lip where he wants to go. Like we talk about, pushing the sail away from him, sheeting out aggressively, pushing the sail away, leaning in to that gap that's created, leaning over. Pulling the sail back to help get vertical and upwind. You can see at the end of the turn, in order to get, we talk a lot about hips, right? Are facing towards the nose of the board. But then as he's coming into the turn, trying to get vertical, you can see the lower body starts to twist in the direction of his feet, so that here looks like the hips are pretty pointed in the direction of the toes. Not all the way there, but pretty much. And then comes up, gets that high five contact that we talk about, right? This high five where as the lip is pushing forward, it makes contact with the board between the foot straps, flat, like a high five. And then that energy transfers from the wave into the board, does the work for you. Beautiful. Hey, Jakob. Nice. All right, Moritz filling us in. He's saying that I am reading his mind, and those were the thoughts. So interesting. I think that there's not that much variation in what goes through your head, which is one reason why getting the mental side down is so important. So instead of worrying too much about technique, figuring out the mental side, like looking for a smooth place to bottom turn, looking at the lip you're going to hit. And you can see here, like Moritz is finding what I call these corner pocket sections. And often in onshore conditions, this is really what you want to look for, where you've got the wave coming at you. And this is what I call the corner pocket. And it's the easiest kind of section to get the timing right on. And in onshore conditions, timing is more difficult. You find a lot of these sections around. So I really recommend looking for this kind of section that's coming at you. It's like this, what I call this corner pocket. And you just set up, and you can go as vertical as you want. So Moritz is going more vertical on this turn, which is great, but you can also come less vertical on it too and get that contact. Yeah, Jakob likes Moritz's clips. Me too. Awesome. I want to come and film with you, Moritz. Let me know if there's a good forecast. I'm in Europe and I want to get some Pozo footage. All right, Leonardo has a discal hernia. I'm sorry, that sounds painful. Looks like we have some experience from other members in the group. I don't have any experience with a discal hernia, so I'm not one to offer advice. One thing, though, that I've noticed with my own injuries and seeing other people's injuries is that there can be a tendency to want to fix it yourself. And I think going to a professional, a doctor or a sports therapist, can be really beneficial. And the only caveat I'll add is you want to make sure that you're going to a doctor who works with athletes, There's a huge range in doctors and physical therapists, and some of them don't work with athletes. And even if you're not an athlete, you're not a professional athlete, if you're an active windsurfer, for all intents and purposes, you are an athlete, and you want to have a doctor who's used to working with athletes, because you will have a different kind of treatment, a different training program. When I had my bad knee injury 3 years ago, and I went to 4 different doctors, 2 of whom were used to working with athletes, and 3 kind of who were used to working with athletes. But it was amazing. All the doctors told me sort of different things, and I find it really interesting. We've got Jeff. I don't know if Jeff is in the chat. Jeff was one of the doctors who gave me really good advice. I ended up doing something a little bit different than what his advice was, but something, and it'd be interesting. Jeff, maybe if I don't know if you're listening now, if you're in the chat, say hi. But if you wanted to come on and we could even do a conversation sometime talking about, so Jeff is a doctor. He's given a lot of advice to me and other windsurfers who have had injuries. But what I found really interesting is how subjective everything is. That even if you have the MRI, it's not clear exactly what's wrong until you go in. But anyway, I found that there's a lot of variety in different opinions from doctors and physical therapists, and you want to make sure that you're working with someone who's used to working with athletes. Super, super important. Hey, Axel. Nice. Axel said 11 days in Morocco. All right, so that's my 2 cents about injuries. I don't have specific experience with discal hernia. All right, Nikolai is asking, how often do you replace your sails? And when do you know if it's time to replace them? Is there a rule of thumb for how many hours a sail can last? Okay, so there's some good answers in here. I'm going to tell you anyone who makes sails or is involved in making sails. First of all, the plastic film that we use in sails, in all sails, lasts for about 300 hours of direct UV sunlight. So the best way to make your sails last longer is to not let them get extra UV damage. If you leave them sitting on the beach for 10 hours a day for 30 days, the sail is going to be cooked. So that means the sail would only last for 30 days. So if you're in the Canaries or in Greece and you just let the sail stay on the beach flat with the sun baking on it for 10 hours a day, the sail is going to last you about a month. Now, that's for normal monofilm. So like in the Ezzy sails and a lot of other wave sails where you have a laminated film, so you have a thread, some kind of reinforcement thread like Spectra or something else that's laminated between 2 layers of film, you get about 300 hours per side. So that almost doubles your sail length. Not quite, but almost doubles it. And then if it's, if once the sail cloth is too baked, it starts to crack. It gets brittle and it cracks. And then the sail's pretty done because it will start to fall apart. So you have about 300 UV hours per side of the sail. Otherwise, there are other tips and tricks in this thread for keeping your sails looking new. You want to avoid them getting scratched. So sand or salt crystals, if it scratches the sail, will make it cloudy and difficult to see through. If you roll your sails loosely, they're also more susceptible to being damaged. So if you roll your sails really tight, you have a tight roll, then if something falls on them or they get placed under something heavy, they're not going to get squished and creased as easily. So rolling your sails tight is also a way to make sure that they last longer. When you're rigging with the sail, you don't want it flapping around. If you listen to all that crinkly sound, that is actually the plastic breaking down a little bit. Like for example, if you have a something plastic, right, and you bend it back and forth, after enough bends, it's going to start to turn white and fall apart. And it's the same thing with the sailcloth. So if you're, like, for example, putting in or taking out the mast by scrunching the luff, it's putting those creases in the sail the same way if you had, some kind of plastic thing that you're bending back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And after enough time, that compromises the integrity of the plastics and, yeah, therefore then damages the sail. So there are little things you can do to keep the sail lasting longer. In general, your sails last depending on how much you use them, how much they're rigged. I see some people go through a sail in, like, for example, my sails by the end of a year are pretty used because I've got my quiver and I'm sailing a lot. I'm in places where I have a lot of time on the water and right. I mean, this is my life, so I'm focused on getting a lot of days in. If you're sailing 2 weeks a year, it's a very different story. So it depends on the situation. This is an interesting thread. Hopefully you guys uh, have learned something from this. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I love this. Alexis, thank you for posting. This is a cool shot of the late, great Andy Irons. Beautiful position, carving. He's got the athletic position that we talk about with some bend in the knees, bend in the waist, power going from his core through his glutes down to his feet. Beautiful photo. Love it. All right, we've got this post from Thomas Svensson about board shape or board liters and kilos, sailor kilos. So it's like about 1.03 times your weight in kilograms is how much, or I guess I should say it the other way. Your board volume, the liters, times 1.03 is how many kilograms it will float. So that's like perfect buoyancy in salt water. And you want to have a medium board that is buoyant, I would say. Sometimes my medium boards are not perfectly buoyant. So if there's no wind, I'll sink up to my ankles or something, not to my knees, not to my waist. It's not a sinker, but I'm not floating on top of the water the whole time. So I like to be, if I'm 88 kilos, I want to be on an 88-liter board most of the time. Now, my weight fluctuates. Still have my 88-liter boards that also feel good. So I think there's a bit of range there. For these weights, as I say in the comments, I think you could go a bit smaller on the small and the medium size. The other thing that's really important to remember is that width is really important. So not volume isn't everything. Width is really important. So if you have a wider tail, it will get going sooner and faster, and then you can have less volume. It will also be harder to turn. The wider tail is harder to turn. All right, here's the application for the Denmark Masterclass. Again, I'm planning to do, in addition to the Denmark Masterclasses, one or two other Masterclasses, probably, I'm not sure yet, and it's not confirmed, but it would probably be Portugal, Morocco, or Canaries. Of that list, probably Canaries would be the easiest. Portugal would be the most challenging condition-wise, so I'm not really sure how to make that work. And Morocco would be the most difficult, but also just in terms of logistics, but also pretty fun. So I've got to see. I want to do another one. It might end up being somewhere just like Pozo or somewhere like Portugal or Morocco. All right. Next up, we've got another post from Moritz. So Moritz said, did you say you landed this one back in the wave? This is cool. So this is a move that I started doing a while ago. But I really like how Moritz is doing. It's super stylish. It's more stylish than any of the ones from myself that I've caught on video. I have a bunch on video, but I don't really post them because a lot of mine look so ugly on the landing, whereas this one's really nice. I like how stylish this looks. And I can't take credit for this. So this was actually a move that Josh Angulo was doing. And I don't know how many he landed. I've never seen him land one, but I'm pretty sure he did land them. And he was calling them the Ang over, A-N-G over, like Angulo over. Obviously a little play on hangover. And I was doing them with a little bit more air and calling them hangovers. I think hangover is a cool move, whether it's in, or a name, whether it's in the air or not. But this is awesome. This is the first one I've seen landed other than the ones that I've done. So super cool. Moritz, I love the innovation. Moritz is always innovative. And yeah, very cool. I wonder if we can find one of mine. Let's see. So this is, I think, the first one that I caught on film, not the first one I did. So this was in 2010 or something. So let's see. So again, I'm getting a little bit more air on these. I should dig through my footage and find the other ones that I have, because I do have a bunch of these on film, but you'll see what's ugly about them in a second. So again, I'm getting a little bit more air, but I've had a few where I come up upright, but a lot of times I'm sort of landing the move down like this and then coming up again, just the dynamics of how the rotation is. So that's something that I really like. The two things that I really like about Moritz is move are the nice slide that he gets. I think that's pretty stylish. Yeah, so I really like this stylish slide there. And then I like that he finishes the move over the gear, so he's not too far back. I can't tell if you make it inside the wave or not, but I think you say you do somewhere. All right, guys. I think that's it. That's everything that was posted. So I'm going to let you guys go. Have a wonderful Mother's Day. If you are interested in signing up for Denmark, the dates are September 2nd to the 7th. Fill out this form and I will let you know whether you are in or not. Yeah, what else do we have to say? Do I have any more housekeeping to go over? One other thing I wanted to go over. Let me see if I can find it. I'll talk about it next time. All right, everyone, take care. Happy windsurfing. I hope you have a windy week, and I will see you next week, Sunday. I'll be in Hamburg. Different background. I hope you guys have a good week, and I'll see you in the place for discussion. If you have photos, questions, comments, videos, concerns, any of the above, just something interesting you want to talk about, throw it in the Facebook group and we can have a discussion during the week. All right. Bye-bye. Take care.